right, so this has been simmering for 10 minutes now, and we're gonna add the spinach. And when I was tasting it, I didn't want to add any more, I didn't want to add anything sour to it, but what I did notice is that I liked the brown sugar when I added it. It gave it a nice sweetness, but I think that it needs a little bit more sweetness. And so when I was little growing up, I always loved having Indian food with chutney. And the thing I loved the most in the chutney was raisins. And I have some, just like Abuela and our kombucha squash, Abuela would notice we've got some golden raisins. See this golden raisins? And let's throw those in, okay? Now, I don't really need to add, rehydrate them because they're going into this, which has liquid in it. So I'm just gonna now stir it, all of this together. I gotta break up that big chunk of them first. And when this cooks into the pie, this is gonna taste absolutely fantastic. So I'm just gonna stir that enough to wilt all the spinach, and then I'll start getting the pie crust ready. So here's our puff pastry, and it's defrosted. I've let it sit out, and it comes in a package with 2 sheets. So you just unfold it. And it's better to do this when it's defrosted. If you try to unfold it when it's still frozen, it tends to crack right down the seams, which is a real pain. So make sure you let it defrost completely, and then that way you can easily unravel it, okay? I've already lined the pie crust with the first sheet, and what we want to do is what's called docking. We're docking the dough. We're preventing it from bubbling up underneath. And we're just taking a fork and you just prick it every so often on the bottom. And that will help prevent it from bubbling up. And that is called docking the dough. All right, that's all you need to do. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna start pouring in our filling, and then we're gonna have to top it with that top piece. And here is my pastry brush with some water. So I'm gonna brush the water around the edges of it up here, because that's where we need to glue together the 2 pieces of the pie crust so it doesn't bake out over it. We don't want it to escape. We want to keep all the juices and the pie filling inside. All right, so I gotta put the beautiful filling. The spinach is all wilted, it's ready to go. The raisins have plumped up. It looks gorgeous. So our puff pastry, when I first put it into the pie shell, it didn't actually completely come over to the sides. I had to stretch it a bit. And now that we've got all the filling in there, this is not going to be enough to cover it. So what can we do? Well, we got a rolling pin, a piece of parchment paper, and I'm going to roll this out and make it a bit bigger. And then I can drape it over the top of that pie, and then that way it'll give us more space. So I don't need to roll it out a lot, just a tiny little bit, okay? And then that'll give us enough to cover. All right, but always roll it on parchment paper. Makes your life easy. If you don't have parchment paper, wax paper, aluminum foil, and if you don't have any of that, then you have to put flour down on a surface and use a floured surface. So now that that's wider, what I can do is pick it up with the parchment paper. I'm trying to do this one-handed, holding the camera with the other hand. Let me see if I can do this or if I'm gonna mess it up. Let's see. All right. Live dangerously. Got my hand under there. Slap it right on. Ta-da! There we go. All right, and I brushed the edges with the water, so this should be nice and firm, sticking together. I'm pinching it between my fingers, and what I'll do is after I've pinched it, I'm gonna trim off the excess, but I do wanna make a bit of a crust here. So I'm gonna fold it over. So I'll trim it first, and then I'm gonna fold it over, and I'll crimp it with a fork. So I need 2 hands for that, so you gotta wait. All right, I've folded over all the edges, and I used water. I brushed it with water to seal it down, and now extra safeguard is I'm crimping the edges to keep that sealed. Puff pastry likes to puff up. That's why it's called puff pastry. And we don't want the edges to open, all right? So when I'm using the fork, I'm crimping it in, and that'll help keep it sealed, I hope. Now, remember, the refrigerator's broken. I don't have any eggs, so I can't put an egg wash on top. But if you have an egg and you take it, break it into a little container or measuring cup with a fork, whisk it. And then you use that to brush on top of your pie before you put it in the oven. So I'll just continue crimping this to seal that pastry together. There we go. All right, and then anything that's over the edges, just push it up. And we're gonna put it into the 400-degree oven and let it bake. Now, it'll probably take about 20, maybe 30 minutes, so I will check after 20 minutes. Now, I do need to let an air vent in the top, so I'm just gonna put a little hole right there. All right, I guess we can make an X. All right, we'll make a little X. There, and that will make an air vent for all of our steam to escape. Okay, opening the oven, and in it goes. Ta-da! Now I have to wait. All right. Oh, look at that beautiful pie. That's looking great. All right, the timer's just about to go off. I'll take it out as soon as it does. I want you to see how beautiful that looks. Oh, here is our beautiful pie. Look how great that is. Our green curry chicken pie. All right, so I've got a plate, there's a fork, a pie server, and knife. Let's cut into it and see how good this thing is. All right, now, just remember, don't cut through the tin pie bottom. It's always good to run your knife again. Although, I'm ruining the pie crust, hold on. All right, let's see if I can serve this one-handed. You can all see how beautiful it looks. I'm trying not to ruin it. The first slice out of a pie is always the messiest. You always have to try so hard to get it out. All the other slices after that are much easier. So oh, look at that, beautiful. All right, there is our green curry chicken pie with spinach and kabocha squash. Look at the puff pastry, it looks absolutely gorgeous. So delicious. I am going to look forward to having a bite and sharing this with Miss Melissa, my camera person extraordinaire, and maybe Mr. Lokanoff too. Maybe he'll get a slice. All right, so bon appetit. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and maybe you'll be inspired to make something like this at home. This is our Australian green curry chicken pie, and it looks absolutely wonderful. Enjoy.